The radio crackled to life in the dark again last night, just 3 feet from my bed. I hadn't worked a shift in days, and I hadn't brought it home. I don't even know how it got here. This all started a while ago. I took the overnight shift because I didn't want to deal with customers. That's the truth. Stocking shelves, counting overstock, keeping my head down, sounded perfect. No one talked to me, and I didn't have to talk to anyone. Just me, a quiet store, and the hum of overhead lights. The place was one of those massive retail chains. Not quite a warehouse, not quite a grocery store. Some mix of everything. Brightly lit, cold as hell, and designed like a maze. It closed at 11, and that's when our crew took over. There were 4 of us on nights. Me, Ray, Marcus, and Jen. We weren't friends, but we got along fine. Everyone had their own section to handle. Ray usually ran the pallet jack. Jen handled backstock. Marcus bounced between departments. I worked electronics. That section was always dead quiet. The demo phones were powered off, and the TVs looped the same muted ad for store brand insurance. I didn't mind the silence. Honestly, I preferred it. The first time I noticed it, I didn't think anything of it. I was reorganizing Bluetooth speakers when I found an old store radio tucked behind the shelf. Dusty, with a cracked speaker grill and a faded label. No barcode, no clip. It wasn't one of our store-issued radios. Ours were newer, sleek, digital, with earpieces and store channels. This one looked like something from the 90s. I turned it over a few times, shrugged, and brought it to the break room. "Anyone lose a radio?" I asked, holding it up. Marcus looked up from his lunch, then went back to scrolling his phone. Ray said, "That thing even work?" I shook my head and left it on the counter. I didn't think about it again until the next night. I was pulling new signage from the stockroom when I noticed something on top of the printer paper boxes. Same radio, same crack, same label, faded like it had been handled for years, but I could have sworn I left it in the break room. I picked it up. Still powered off. Still dusty. I checked the lost and found drawer just to be sure. And yeah, nothing. Weird, but maybe someone moved it. I asked Marcus if he'd seen it again. He shrugged. Didn't touch it. I dropped it off at the manager's office, figuring they could toss it in with surplus or recycling. There's always random junk that ends up in the wrong place. That night was quiet, until it wasn't. Around 2 a.m., I was zoning out while rearranging printer cartridges when I heard a pop of static. Not loud, just enough to make me look around. I checked my store radio. Nothing. Then I realized I'd left it in my locker. The static came again. And then, click. He's alone in the aisle now. The voice was faint, garbled, but it definitely came from behind me. I turned around. Nothing but shelves of routers and empty hooks. I followed the sound slowly, unsure if I was even hearing it right. I passed through office supplies, then toward the back end of toys. That's when I saw it. The old store radio, sitting on a plastic folding table near the clearance bin. Its red light blinked. The power switch was on. I didn't pick it up. I just stared at it for a while, long enough that the lights overhead buzzed and timed out, then came back on. Then it spoke again. Still walking, still watching. I stepped back. That's when I realized I was being described. Someone, or something, was watching me and narrating what I did. I turned and walked straight to the compactor. I threw the radio in and didn't hesitate. Heard it crunch as the press came down. I stood there for a second, half expecting to hear it again. Nothing. I went back to the floor, trying to push the weirdness out of my head. Told myself it had to be interference. some leftover channel from a trucker or a security team on another block. I was halfway through facing shelves in home when Marcus found me. "Hey, you dropped this?" He held it out. The same radio. My stomach turned. "Where'd you get that?" "Break room table." "You all right, man?" I didn't answer. I took it from him, but I didn't clip it to my belt. I wrapped it in a store towel and shoved it under the customer service desk in a locked drawer. When my shift ended, I unlocked the drawer to check. Gone. That night at home, I kept thinking about the voice. Not just the words, but the cadence. It wasn't robotic. It wasn't mine either. It sounded like someone trying to sound human, like it was copying how people speak, but hadn't quite figured out how to be one. I almost didn't come in the next night. But rent doesn't care about hauntings. So I showed up, drank 2 coffees, and told myself it was going to be a normal shift. For a while it was. I didn't see the radio in the break room. It wasn't under the desk. It wasn't in electronics. I thought maybe I was in the clear. But around 3 a.m., I noticed the lights in aisle 19 blinking. Off rhythm, not flickering, pulsing. I turned the corner and there it was, center of the floor, radio standing upright, as if someone had placed it. I made it 2 aisles over before I heard it again. "He's scared now." The voice paused, then repeated, this time in my voice. "I'm scared now." I stopped cold. That wasn't a recording. It was speaking in my exact voice. Same tone, same cadence. Like it had been practicing. I sprinted to the manager's office and locked the door. The lights flickered. The intercom clicked. Static burst from the ceiling speaker. Not the radio this time. The store's system. "He hears me now," it said. And I hear him. I didn't say a word to anyone. Just turned and walked straight out through the garden center doors. Luckily, I always kept my wallet and keys in my pockets. I didn't have to go back for anything. I got in my car and drove, all the way home, not even looking in my rearview mirror. That was 3 nights ago. I haven't gone back. This afternoon, I was lying down, taking a quick nap, just trying to catch up on sleep. And that's when the static came through my daughter's baby monitor, and the voice whispered, "He's lying down now."